Amelia Carter sat quietly in the back row of her literature class at King's University, London. Her pen hovered above her notebook, but her mind wasn't on Shakespeare or poetry. Instead, her eyes kept wandering across the room, always landing on Ethan Walker. Ethan was the kind of boy who didn't even realize how effortlessly charming he was. His messy brown hair always looked like he had just walked out of a soft breeze, his sharp jawline caught the sunlight, and his deep green eyes seemed to hold 1,000 stories. He wasn't loud or attention-seeking. Instead, he carried himself with a calm confidence that drew people in without him even trying. Amelia wasn't the only one who noticed. She had overheard girls whispering about him in the hallway, yet Ethan never seemed to care about the attention. He was always focused, books in hand, as if the world around him didn't exist. And that's what made Amelia's heart beat faster every time she looked at him. She told herself it was silly, just a harmless crush. After all, she was just Amelia, quiet, book-loving, and invisible to most. She doubted Ethan even knew her name. But in her diary, she wrote about him every night: the way he smiled when the professor made a joke, the way he leaned forward when he was interested in something, the way he always carried a fountain pen instead of an ordinary ballpoint. It was in that diary where the first words of the letter were born. One evening in her dorm room, Amelia sat by the window as the golden sunset spilled across her desk. She held her diary open, her fingers trembling slightly. "Dear Ethan," she wrote, then paused. It felt ridiculous writing to someone who didn't even know she existed. But her heart insisted. "Dear Ethan, you don't know me well, but I know you more than you think. I notice the way you take notes so carefully, the way you push your hair back when it falls in your eyes. I notice how kind you are when someone asks for help, how patient you are when the professor asks difficult questions. I wish I could tell you all of this in person, but I can't. So I'm writing it here, even if you never read it." She stopped, biting her lip. Her roommate, Clara, peeked over. "Writing poetry again?" Amelia quickly shut the diary. "No, just notes." Clara smirked. "Notes that make you blush? Come on, Amelia, you've been staring at that Ethan guy for months. Just talk to him." "I can't," Amelia whispered. "He wouldn't even notice me." Clara sighed dramatically. "Then at least write him a letter. You're good with words. Maybe he'll finally see what I see, a girl worth knowing." The thought stayed in Amelia's mind long after Clara went to sleep. A letter. Could she really do it? Could she pour her heart out to Ethan Walker, knowing he might laugh, or worse, ignore her completely? Her heart told her yes. The following week, Amelia spent every spare moment perfecting her letter. She wrote and rewrote it until every word felt just right. It wasn't a confession of love, not directly. It was more like an opening door, an invitation to notice her, to know her. The final draft read: "Dear Ethan, you don't know me well, but I sit a few rows behind you in literature. I've watched you from a distance, and though you may never have noticed, I've seen things others overlook. The way you always listen so deeply. The way you write with care. The way you smile when no one's looking. I admire that about you. Maybe this is foolish, maybe you'll never reply, but I believe words can connect hearts before voices ever can. So here are mine. I'd love to know you, if you'd like to know me. A girl who notices. Her hands shook as she folded the letter neatly and slipped it into a cream-colored envelope. She didn't sign her name. She wasn't that brave. Not yet. The next day, Amelia carried the letter in her bag all morning, her stomach twisting with nerves. At lunchtime, she found Ethan sitting beneath the old oak tree in the university courtyard, reading as always. His fountain pen rested beside him, the pages of his book dancing in the breeze. This was it. Her legs felt like lead as she walked closer. For a second, she thought about turning back, running to safety. But then Ethan looked up, just for a moment, and their eyes met. Amelia froze. His gaze wasn't cold or dismissive. It was warm. Curious. "Hi," he said, his voice smooth and calm. Amelia's throat went dry. Somehow, she managed a small smile before quickly placing the envelope on the bench beside him. "This is, for you." Then she walked away before he could say another word. Her heart pounded like a drum all the way back to her dorm. Ethan stared at the envelope, surprised. No one had ever handed him something like this before. He opened it carefully, his brows furrowing as he read. The words were soft, poetic, and genuine. Unlike anything he had ever received. He read it once. Then twice. And then a third time. Who was she? His eyes drifted toward the literature hall. Rows of students came and went, but one face stood out in his memory: Amelia Carter. Quiet, thoughtful, always scribbling notes in her notebook. Could it be her? For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt something stir in his chest. A spark of curiosity. And maybe, something more. For the next 2 days, Amelia lived in a storm of anxiety. Every time she saw Ethan in class, her stomach flipped. Had he read the letter? Did he think it was silly? Was he laughing with his friends about it right now? On the third day, as she entered the lecture hall, she noticed something on her desk. A folded note. Her heart skipped. With trembling fingers, she opened it. To the girl who notices. I don't usually get letters, especially not ones like this. I read your words more than once, and each time I felt something I can't quite explain. Thank you for noticing the little things about me. No one ever does. I'd like to know you too. Ethan. Amelia's hands shook as she read it again and again. He replied. Not only replied but in a way that showed he cared. After class, Amelia nervously walked toward the courtyard. Ethan was there, waiting beneath the oak tree again. When their eyes met, Ethan gave her a small smile, the kind that made her heart race. You're Amelia, right? He asked softly. She nodded, her cheeks warm. Yes. You write beautifully, he said, holding the letter in his hand. I don't think anyone has ever written me something so genuine. Her lips curved into a shy smile. I wasn't sure you'd even read it. I read it, he said, stepping closer. And I wanted to thank you. For noticing me in ways I didn't know mattered. They talked for an hour beneath the oak tree. At first, Amelia was nervous, but Ethan made it easy. He asked about her favorite books, her writing, her dreams. She learned he loved history, played the piano, and secretly hated coffee despite carrying it around all the time just to stay awake in class. When the bell rang, Amelia realized something: she wasn't invisible anymore. From that day on, Amelia and Ethan began exchanging letters regularly. Sometimes he left one on her desk. Sometimes she slipped one into his notebook. His handwriting was elegant, every word thoughtful. Dear Amelia, I've realized I look forward to your letters more than anything else in my day. They make the world feel softer. Like I'm not just walking through it alone. She replied with equal tenderness. Dear Ethan, I look forward to your letters too. Sometimes I sit awake at night wondering what you'll write next. It feels like our words are secret bridges only we can cross. They wrote about their fears, their favorite memories, even their silly thoughts. But between the lines, something deeper grew. A closeness that even spoken words couldn't match. One chilly evening, Amelia sat by the campus fountain, waiting for Ethan. He arrived carrying a letter, but instead of handing it to her, he hesitated. I wrote this, he said, holding the envelope. But I think I should just say it. Amelia's heart pounded. Say what? That I like you. His green eyes locked onto hers. Not just because of your letters, though they're beautiful. But because of who you are. Quiet, thoughtful, genuine. You see things no one else does. And I want to see more of the world the way you do. Amelia's breath caught. Her hands trembled, but she smiled. I like you too, Ethan. More than I thought I could. He laughed softly in relief, and before she could overthink it, he leaned closer, brushing his lips against her forehead. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it was a promise. From then on, Amelia and Ethan were inseparable. They still wrote letters, but now they spent hours together studying in the library, walking across campus at night, sitting beneath the oak tree sharing secrets. Their letters turned more romantic. Dear Amelia, you once wrote that words connect hearts before voices ever can. You were right. But now that I know your voice, I realize I never want to stop hearing it. Dear Ethan, every time I see you, I feel like I'm living inside one of the poems I used to only dream about. You've turned my quiet pages into a story I never want to end. But love isn't always easy. As exams approached, Ethan became distant, buried in work and responsibilities. Amelia worried the letters would stop, that their bond would fade. One evening, she found him sitting alone in the library, his face tired. She slid a letter across the table. He opened it, and inside read, even if the world keeps us busy, even if silence stretches between us, I'll still be here. Because love isn't in the constant words, it's in the certainty of knowing the other person will always return. Ethan looked at her, eyes shining, and reached for her hand. You're my anchor, Amelia. Don't ever think otherwise. On the last day of their university year, Ethan surprised Amelia with a small box tied with a red ribbon. Inside was a bundle of all the letters they had exchanged, neatly tied together. I kept every single one, he said. Because these letters aren't just words. They're our story. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. So what's the next chapter? Ethan smiled and pulled out one last letter. He handed it to her, and she unfolded it with trembling hands. Dear Amelia, this isn't just a letter. It's a promise. No matter where life takes us after this university, I want to keep writing our story together. Not with ink and paper, but with days and nights, laughter and love. You once called yourself a girl who notices. But I promise, from now on, you'll never go unnoticed again. I see you. And I always will. When she looked up, Ethan was there smiling, waiting. And in that moment, beneath the old oak tree where it all began, Amelia kissed him. It was soft, hesitant, and perfect. A beginning written not on paper, but on their hearts.